Welcome to Spotlight, where each week a guest takes center stage for an intuitive tarot reading. You'll get a front row seat to a real recorded session as we explore the magic of tarot together. My goal is to create a space where we navigate challenges, uncover fresh perspectives, and reconnect with inner wisdom, giving you a glimpse into what it's like to receive a reading with me. Interested in being a Spotlight guest? Just fill out the application below and I'll be in touch about getting you on. Now, without further ado, let's meet this week's guest. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Spotlight. This is another series part of my Spirit Journey Collective podcast, and I have a really wonderful guest today. Her name is Katie Hurd, and she's here to be a featured guest today. So first of all, thank you so much for being here today, Katie.
Thanks so much for having me, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. So I know that you mentioned we're just going to do higher self and just see what comes through. So while I go ahead and shuffle, why don't you just share whatever you feel is relevant to our listeners a little bit about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Katie Hurd, like you said. I live in Georgetown, Texas, which is a little bit north of the Austin, Texas area. I am a cat mom and love all things animals, but I also just started my own business this year, which is one of those things that I didn't plan when I was 10, right? That didn't look like my future, but here we are, and I'm just really living differently than I've lived in the past 20 years. I'm more going with the flow, those kinds of things that I just really find life gets better when I am connected to my higher self, which is why that topic really interests me. Um, I also shared with you, but I will be 40. And for me, that is just a pivotal milestone on where I am in life and softer. We only get one journey, and I want to make the most of it. So I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I'm a cat mom too, so I can relate to that part. I mean, I'm a mom too, but I'm also a cat
Yeah.
mom to two kitties, which by the way, they should be quiet, but there's a chance we might hear them in the background. So in that case, one of them likes to scream, and if he happens to do that, I
Mm.
might just wait him out. Just pause and let
Well,
him.
my cat often will jump on my desk. It like she can sense I'm on camera, right? So
Right? No, they do. They totally do. She's like, I need my airtime, please.
yeah.
But yeah, so I went ahead and did what I call my higher self spread. I did 7 cards. So there's going to be a theme, past, present, future energies, and then higher self messages as a whole. And so feel free to comment or ask questions as I go. I do like once I start talking, it just tends to be a thing where I don't always remember to like stop and check in. So please interrupt me if you need to. There's no issues at all. I just once I get into the channel mode, that's where I'm at. But I could be interrupted and go right back into it.
Perfect.
Um, so yeah, I'm really liking what's here though. It's pretty cool. I feel like in a way, I know you said that there's a focus that you kind of wanted, but you weren't sure, and I kind of feel like it might pick up on that a little bit. So you might get a little bit of that plus other insights as well. So starting with your theme, we have the King of Pentacles. And so I love this so much because I feel like it's like the season that you're in right now is stability. It's this place of being rooted. It's this place of like, you know now what you have to offer. So now you're offering it and expect and your plan is to be compensated for what you love to do. And so like that's just it's like you've built this place of safety where you actually have this space of, oh, okay, now that I have safety and I have roots and I have stability, I can do what I want and I can play with it. And it's all branched around how can I take what I've harvested, like such as like what you've learned along the years, and give it away and pass it on. And so that's like your theme, which I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a cool theme.
Yeah,
Looking
I
at
love
your
that. I love that you use the word rooted. That's exactly how I feel. So I just that is spot on.
so then we also have the 8 of Wands as well. And this is in your recent past. So this one is basically saying that, and being in your past, that's also kind of cool. Again, based on what you were sharing with me earlier. But the 8 of Wands, I like to compare it to like when you're a surfer and you're like waiting for a wave. The 8 of Wands is like the wave is coming. Like, are you going to
Mm,
get on it or are you going to let it pass you? And that's really, but it's like it's in transit, it's on the way. And whether or not you jump on and use the wave is up to you. And so because this is in your past, that tells me the wave came, you were like, that's a hell yes, and you got on it, right? And you let it take you up to where you are now. And so like that could even be speaking to the inspiration to start your business, for instance. But it's definitely like in your recent past there was a lot of motivation, and you could sense that the time was now. Back then, you like, it was the time is now, I got to get on this, and you did. So moving to your present, we have the star. And this one always ties into the theme being the King of Pentacles. And so this one, I feel like another aspect of this. So, like, initially with the Eight of Wands here, it was kind of like this fast paced jumping on the wave. But I feel like since then, things have mellowed out. It's like the initial getting through the door was quick, but now that you're like in the door, now it's like slowing down. And the space now is, how can I lean into the stillness and keep moving forward? And
Mm,
again, coming back to being rooted, it is that sense of like, I'm safe enough to be still. And so the star, if this one is an invitation for really deep healing, usually like childhood stuff that we normally don't want to touch or go, go there. And so I'm not sensing resistance. I feel like you're already aware of things in your childhood you need to heal. It's just more of this sense of like, okay, again, like it's more again, the time is now, but it's a softer the time is now. It's more of a, okay, now that I feel safe and I have, this space of being grounded, now I can start kind of unpacking these things in my life that I haven't had a chance to before. And so it's like in your past, whatever it is that you jumped on with the inspiration, like that was getting you to this place of being rooted. And now that you're here, it's like, okay, now I could take my time here as I move the direction I want to move.
which is really funny and very true. So I walked away or left my corporate job in April. And I think that's the wave of I want to help more people. I really want my life to be around the things that I'm passionate about, my values, and not just earn money and waste life. And so I think that's the wave I jumped on. There's been a huge learning curve with the business side, but there's also been that self-reflection of who I am, how I want to show up. There's been changes along the way in what I'm offering in my business because of that, because really I'm more focused on me and what I can do for others. Like I just want to, it's almost like a movement rather than an offering, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it reminds me a lot of a sense of like pain to purpose, or like
Hmm.
what you went through now you're going to pass on to like the future generation, for instance. Like you're here to share the wisdom that you've learned thus far.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So moving into the near future, I really, really love these. So I have two cards. I have the near future card, which is the Six of Swords reversed. And then I have the higher self message to that is the Four of Swords upright. So first talking about the Six of Swords reversed. So you are being invited, and I would say it's probably like starting like now into the near future, but you're being hugely invited to surrender and not control where you go from here with your business,
Mm.
which as a human being is really hard.
Yeah,
We like to have that sense of control. And so this one I like to use the analogy of like, let's say a thriving business is an island and you're in a rowboat and you can see the island. Our natural instincts are is gonna be to grab those oars and row ourselves to the island. But this is where higher self is saying drop the oars.
right.
Like drop them and trust that you'll get there, but you need to let it happen organically. And it doesn't mean you don't do work to get there. It just means like you aren't forcing it, if that makes
Right,
sense.
right. Which is actually really interesting because it seems like the more that I try to control or get to that island, I'm not really coming from a place of my heart in some ways. I'm more in my head, which is a total disconnect. And so I can see that like that exerting and wanting to control or have these things known, because who likes the unknown? I'm actually just getting disconnected. So I've spent time of like, okay, I need to pause, get
Yeah.
out of my head and into my heart.
Not everyone wants to talk about their situation or life questions out loud, and that's okay. That's why my email tarot readings are a perfect fit for the inward seekers, the ones who feel deeply, process everything, and don't always have the words or the energy for a live session. Here's how it works. You send your question, I tune in, pull cards, and record a 17 to 25-minute voice message, channeling what comes through around your question and situation. You'll also receive a photo of the cards pulled, all delivered to your inbox within 24 hours. My intention is always to honor your journey with sincerity and heart-aligned guidance. If this feels like the kind of support you've been craving, let's connect. You can find me at the link below or at www.spiritjourneycollective.com.
And that's exactly it. I feel like that's probably like the inner battle that you're like I said, kind of it's going to be kind of like maybe the new theme coming into the near future. It's just kind of like be aware of this, and
Mhm.
just especially the more you're aware of, oh wait, I'm forcing, I need to release, the quicker you can kind of let it things go back into flow versus push 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 and then oh wait, you know what I mean. And
Right,
so
right,
when you're able to surrender, at that point the boat is gonna it's gonna drift in its own way. So you might run into another boat with other opportunities and more people, right? So it just gives you it when you surrender, you're allowing your higher power at that point to put things in your path that you would have missed if you just like beelined it to the island.
right.
And then the higher self message to that being the Four of Swords. I love this so much. Again, coming back to that kind of energy of like now that you're through the door, now it's time to kind of like rest and slow down. The Four of Swords is all about mental rest. It's about kind of taking time to just recuperate.
Mm.
And so, especially, I mean, this is physically too to a point, but a lot of it's mental, like the mental chatter. And especially if you're overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, I have to do this for my. And I mean, when you go from like a corporate to your own business too, you have a lot more on your plate, right? Because it's just you versus when you're in a corporate, everyone has their own position, and so
Mhm.
there could be a lot of mental chatter that's like in the background, like I need to do this, I need to do that, and I feel like this is just saying like when it comes to that surrender, the higher self message is to kind of also, again, there's nothing wrong with checklists, but don't let it overwhelm you. Don't let
Right.
it be like the thing that's constantly like going off in the background. This is really encouraging you to find spaces where you're not where you're able to rest your mind. And so like meditation, or even doing something creative that allows you to kind of check out for a bit, where your mind gets to just wander while you do something creative or fun or whatever. But you're definitely being invited to, while being invited to surrender, you're also being invited to let your mind take some breaks. And I feel like I'm not seeing as much resistance around the break as I am the surrender. So I feel like the surrender is more like the, once you can surrender, it will be easier to
Mhm.
let go of the mind. Like that's kind of like the order, I guess, is surrender first, and then you'll realize it's so much easier to just give your mind a break.
Yeah, it's totally hard for me to surrender. Um, but the one thing about the mental chatter that I have is it's exciting and ideas and things I want to do, but it's still impacting like a restful period. And so one of the ways that I've learned to surrender just probably within the last couple of months was if I'm really in my head a lot, I've stepped away from my office and gone out and done some yard work to really just reconnect to my plants and something totally different, some physical activity that gets me out of my head. Um, I love the idea of meditation. Things like that are really good for me, but they're not the first thing that my brain thinks of.
I can 100% relate. Me and meditation, I love it, same thing, but I think it's because I also have ADHD, so my brain just doesn't
Mm,
know how to stop. And but I love that
same.
example. Yeah, but I love that example of gardening because, for someone else it might not be gardening, but it's just an example that it could be anything that gets you to a place where you can basically distract your mind for a while also giving yourself a sense of peace. And it could be in a form of anything, but for you it's gardening.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, it's good to know what the thing is. So that way, when you do find yourself overwhelmed or overthinking, it's easier to be like, okay, it's time to go. garden. You know what I mean? Like when you know
Mhm.
what it is, it's a little easier to just kind of step away. When you're not sure, it's a little more overwhelming. So I'm glad that you already have a sense of like what you can do to help you find that silence. Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so the higher self message in the middle, I have the Five of Pentacles reversed, and then I have the King of Swords. So I really love this. The starting with the Five of Pentacles reversed. So this one is saying that, and I like that it's reversed because it's solution oriented, but it does say that there is a small part of you that struggles a little bit with lack mentality of like not feeling like you have the means to do what you want to do and see it through. But being reversed, you're the type of person who's like, no, there's a way. You know, like if there's a will, there's a way, kind of an energy. So, like in this picture, when it's upright, you see that this person's already given up. Like they feel like they don't have
Mm,
what they need, but everything they need is literally right here. So the invitation is, if you feel like you don't have the resources or the means, look harder because they're literally there. You have to believe in that abundance thinking and that it's there. And so for
mhm.
you, because this is reversed, it's like you do struggle with getting caught up there sometimes, but you also are really good at turning that back around and being like, no, there are resources if I look hard enough. And so it's just like right off the bat, it's just acknowledging that part of you that, and I feel like it's a twofold. I feel like on one hand, it's acknowledging that, hey, you know, you struggle a little bit with lack mentality, but when you do, this is what to do when that happens, and you're already good at it. So I feel like it's kind of highlighting your superpower in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Interesting.
And then the King of Swords. I love this one a lot too. So whenever I talk about the King of Swords, I always kind of talk about the Queen of Swords first, because usually, almost always, there's a season of the Queen of Swords first, and so the Queen of Swords is my boundary card. So she's all
Mm,
about learning how to say no, learning what she will and won't accept. She can come off kind of cold when she goes, you know, when she's like no, because often before Queen of Swords, there's people pleasing energy. So getting used to being stepped on or walked over, right? And so when you start saying no for the first time, you have to mean it. And so some people are like, geez, why are you so rigid? You know, but you have to be because you have to let them know you mean business. By the time you get to the King of Swords, you're able to relax. It's like your boundaries are still firm, but you don't need to be cold about it. You can just say, no, no, thank you. That doesn't sound like something I want to do. And there's no consequence for saying no because you believe in yourself, you believe in your truth. And if they have a problem with it, you understand now that that's their problem, not yours. And so I feel like part of like the season that you're in as well is just learning how to sit on your truth, learning how to just trust your own belief system, doing things for you versus doing things for what other people expect of you. And I feel like that's a huge game changer, especially in the space of slowness, because likely in the past you struggled with that fast paced energy. And now that you have the choice to be slow, it's like you get to choose that now, not just because you have to do what someone else expects of you, if that makes sense.
totally. Makes perfect sense. I have done what'd you say, the Queen of Swords. I've gone through that period over, again, the last couple of months. And that's, I think, why there's been so many changes in how I show up or how I want to show up because I realize I'm just going to burn out if I'm everything for everyone and not anything or doing things I don't want to do. Um, and so I just love those two cards and how are really, they really resonate with where I am right now.
Yeah, so as a whole, I feel like what you're really being invited into is, I mean, to just like coming back to your theme being the King of Pentacles, you're really being invited to lean into the stability that you've created for yourself. Trust it, understand that what you're doing is part of your purpose because again, a big part of the King of Pentacles is being compensated for doing what you love and for giving back to the world. It's like a twofold thing. So it's like you're right where you are, you're right where you're meant to be, so now it's time to take care of you. So there's that healing aspect, there's the surrender invitation, finding ways for self-care, for mental chatter. So it's like you have this space now to work more on, I mean, yes, work your business, but how can you take care of you in that? And I
Hmm.
feel like the more you do that, the better you're going to be for your future clients, right? Because you're going to be in a better place. And so even like the Five of Pentacles being, when you find yourself in like the negative thought train of I can't do it, you already have the superpower of being able to redirect. And so it's just reminding you, like, yeah, so focus on you, focus on slowing down, being present. If you catch yourself in the negative thought pattern, just course correct because you're good at that. And then the biggest thing too is as you take care of you, lean more in on the King of Swords, which is trusting yourself, trusting your judgment, you know, learning what's for you and what's not for you. And as an entrepreneur, that's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be doing trial and error with, right? But learning how to listen to your own inner compass is going to help you both keep your own rest time and slowing down, as well as building what you're wanting.
Yeah, I love that. And like I said, totally resonates with where I am right now. And even just my journey over the past couple months. And I don't do well sitting or slowing down just in general. So it's definitely been a discover as I go and know that it's okay to change directions and that I'm kind of being guided to what I want for me and what my purpose is in terms of my offerings or empowering others, those kinds of conversations that I just love to have. So I love that I mean, it's really, really right on to where I am.
Perfect. Yeah, I hear that all the time. And it's more so that the cards meet you where they are. It literally, I don't even take credit for it. I'm the channel, right? But it's literally like people see tarot as a future tool, but I see tarot as a present tool because it tends to just tell you where you're at and then how to get where you want to go,
Hmm.
And so I love that was able to meet you literally in your situation with the guidance to help you get where your next steps are. So I'm so glad that you joined me today and that you were open to being a featured guest. And yeah, thank you again for joining me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And I will certainly be practicing not over rowing my boat to the island. So really appreciate it. And thanks.
Thank you for joining me on another inspiring episode. Remember, your purpose is a unique and unfolding path. I hope these conversations have ignited a spark within you. Until next time, keep exploring, growing, and embracing the beautiful adventure of connecting with your purpose. Stay tuned for more meaningful conversations. If you enjoyed the episode today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for joining me on this journey.